guys. So today I'm going to be sharing the strangest trauma response that I've ever had. So I've shared this with a few people, and I've never really had someone even therapists haven't really given me more information about this or what actually happened to me. But I'm going to describe this experience because it was something I've never felt before. So ever. Only once in my life. So comment if you've had the same experience. But I was in an abusive relationship, and this person, I really liked him. He was kind of like everything I wanted. He was cute. We had all the same hobbies. He was super spiritual, just like me. But he was super abusive, super immature, grandiose narcissist. Fun fact, he actually thought he was Jesus Christ incarnated. But he was definitely not Jesus Christ. So, actually, we'll do a two-part story. I'll tell two stories about this relationship today. So, I'm with this guy, and he was so manipulative. I was so destabilized for the entire relationship and so confused, and he was so hard to see through. He had really trauma bonded me well and love bombed me well, and hid his real identity well. He definitely was using glamour magic on himself, because I remember when I first met him, narcissists seem charismatic to you when you're not confident yourself. Narcissists can seem confident and charismatic, but once you heal, you just see right through there. You see how insecure they are instantly. But this guy, he didn't have that typical narcissistic charm. He had this aura that was beaming with positivity and love. When I first talked to this guy, he really had this the most beautiful energy, and it was stronger than the typical charisma of a narcissist, way stronger. And so the dynamics were really sneaky. He was spiritually abusive. So he used spirituality to manipulate me, which is it's a really dangerous form of abuse. That's what cults use often, you know what I mean? And it was hard for me to find information or help for it online, because the only spiritual abuse information that I could find was about cults, and I'm like, this dude isn't a cult. What? This is a dude. Which I actually suspect that he was in a cult. I have some evidence for it, but we won't talk about that. So I'm trying to explain this in a way that doesn't give away all the details, but we were on a camping trip, and I was really excited for this camping trip. And we went to this really beautiful place in the mountains, and it was fall, so the aspen trees were yellow and orange, and it was really beautiful. And it was supposed to be fun, but as narcissists do, it turned into he was acting weird, and making himself a sandwich without making me one, and ignoring me. Typical narcissist things. And I was confused, and I used to cry a lot when I was with him, because he would just hang out with me and just not talk to me and do all these. He was so confusing. And the string of events that had happened, it's given me flashbacks right now. the string of events that happened was so like traumatizing that I had this feeling of like my heart went cold. So the night before, I literally felt like my heart was breaking, and my intuition was like screaming at me, telling me like, this guy is abusing you. And I couldn't see it. Like, I couldn't trust myself. I didn't trust myself at the time. And so I felt like my heart was breaking. And a couple of days before the trip, of course, I pulled the tarot card that said cracked open. It's happening for you, not to you. And it felt like my heart was being cracked open. It felt like my heart was breaking, and I was sobbing so loud. And he said so many things. It kind of like pushed my heart to the edge, to where the next day my heart was cold. Like, I mean literally physically cold. Like, my body was cold, my heart was cold, my body was cold. And it was kind of soothing and comforting. It was like this like frozen comfort. That And it wasn't cold as in like, intellectually, like that person is cold, literally cold. And it felt kind of peaceful too. And I had to like hang out with him after the like really traumatic experience happened. And I was just in the car. I had this like sense of like acceptance for the moment. It was like my body had activated this protective mechanism that like took away some of the stress for me. And like it just was cold. It was cold. I've never heard anyone talk about like an experience like this. And I'm getting a little bit emotional. But I'm also gonna share the story of how I got out of this relationship. He and me trauma bonded really good. Really bad. And he one day I was crying and I saw a hawk. And whenever I see hawks, it's a sign from my spirit guides. That's me and my spirit guides' little personal sign. And I had this knowing of like, they wanted me to go home and meditate. They like really wanted to talk to me. And at the time I had this lovely method to speak to them where you observe your train of thought for like 10 minutes. And then once you know what your train of thought looks like, your spirit guides can send you trains of thoughts that look and feel different. And then that's how I'd communicate with them. And this was really good at the time because when my body was under such emotional stress, it was like the meditation part was just in my mind. And so I meditate with them, and they showed me this vision. My spirit guides communicate with me in 3 ways when I do this. They can give me visions, they can give me energy, or they can give me thoughts. Now they usually speak to me through energy, but they showed me this vision, and it was so vivid, and I saw 2 timelines. One timeline was what my life would be like if I stayed with this guy, and it looked like pain and blood, like if you could just imagine what darkness and blood looked like, and like sadness. That's what this timeline looked like. And it was like these flashing images moving super fast, and my camera keeps moving. The next part of the vision was another timeline. And it was, this is what your life will be like if you leave him. And it was this image of beauty and there was like pyramids, and there was light and sparkles and like these flashing images of just beauty. And my profile picture was actually inspired by this vision. It was so beautiful, like it was so light. The light just flickered. And so I got to see with crystal clarity, like, this is what happens if you stay. This is what happens with you go. And it was so hard for me to trust myself. Like I for weeks I was trying to figure out, my therapist wasn't even helping me. I was trying to figure out, should I leave this guy? Should I stay with this guy? Is he abusive? He was. I just couldn't trust myself. And in that moment, my guides told me it's time to let go. And in that moment, I made the choice to trust myself. I made the conscious choice to trust myself. And my guides made it easier with the vision, but it was like this, something clicked inside of me. I was like, okay, letting him go. And it was conscious. It wasn't like the universe ripped him away from me. It was like, I made that choice. And then through the next months, so many beautiful things did happen. And so many beautiful things are happening. But my spirit guides helped me get out of that relationship, and it was cool. I talked to them a lot about him, actually, with this meditation method I shared. And one of the other things they told me was, he is not your friend. Every time I'd ask them about him, I'd be like, is this guy safe? Is this guy abusing me? They'd say, he is not your friend. Not he is not your boyfriend, he is not your friend. And I didn't believe them or trust them, but they proved to be very trustworthy. He was not my friend. He was not a boyfriend or a friend. He was a predator. And they also gave me energy during that time once, where I asked them about him, and they gave me this like download which allowed me to ask him questions that revealed his manipulativeness and kind of like showed me his true self. And that was kind of one of the stepping stones for me to leave him, to like slowly kind of like see, because the pain and the heartbreak that I went through in that relationship, it wasn't just for the pain of it. It wasn't for nothing. I wasn't just a victim. That relationship taught me discernment. Dating a high level manipulator is a discernment initiation. And my discernment was initiated in that relationship. And you could consider it a false twin flame, I would say, is what I felt. But yeah, so the stories are a little heavy. I hope I didn't overshare too much. I don't know like how much, like, do people talk about personal things like this on YouTube? I don't know. I think it holds value. I still have my insecurities, so. But this is how I regulate my nervous system. A lot. It works really well. Another way that I regulate is if you close your eyes, like when I do this, I feel like I had a rush in my temples. The way I learned this was a therapist of mine told me what EMDR was. And my body like created its own version of EMDR with the eyes. I thought that was so cool. It's like, I call this an empath superpower. I'll make another video about this, but when you upgrade into like a healed empath, or like the strengthened, awakened empath, you be able, instead of absorbing people's tension and negative shit, you be absorbing information like a motherfucker. Like, you can absorb energy that's actually like useful for you. Yup. You be learning shit like super fast. Like someone told me about EMDR. I didn't even know what it was. She didn't explain it to me. And I started doing it on myself. What? Intuition, baby. Super empath. So, thank you for listening. I hope that this story was impactful and helpful if you're a survivor as well. If you're going through this or if you've been through this. Much love.